Welcome to the Candidly Cozy podcast.
Grab your tea and let's get cozy.
Hi guys, I'm Emily.
And I'm Jolie.
And welcome to the Candidly Cozy podcast, where we like to have candid, genuine conversations about everything girly related.
This is your go-to spot for all things relatable, therapeutic, and empowering. Nothing is off the table. So grab your tea, your wine, your coffee, or your water if you want to be healthy, and join the conversation and let's get cozy.
Yes. So for today's episode, we do have a special guest. You probably can't see him, but you will most definitely hear him. He'll be snoring, or he'll be barking, or he'll jump off the bed. But my baby's here, Ollie, and he decided to join us on our third episode.
Yes, third episode.
He's supporting us.
Yeah, Emily is a mother.
Yes,
She's a
fur
mother.
baby.
Yeah, she's
the only mother I want to be of a fur baby.
Yeah, I'm a cat mom.
Yes.
She's a dog mom.
We're polar opposites in that sense.
I'm a cat mom.
But yeah, he's here. So
yeah, I hope you guys enjoy him. And he's going to join the conversation with us. We're going to talk about comparison.
Yes. Today's episode is all about comparison. We have a lot to say about comparison.
A lot to talk about.
It's definitely something that has been in my life since, I don't know, I guess since I can even think. I've always constantly just compared myself. So we're going to get into it.
Yes, and I think that it trickles well with our previous episode about FOMO, because comparison and FOMO works hand in hand. So with us talking about comparison right now after talking about FOMO, I think it bodes well.
I would say comparison for me definitely started off when I was very, very young.
Yeah, same.
I was always, I don't know why, I truly don't know why, but I've always been a very insecure person. And I can just remember, like, I can look at a picture of myself when I'm like 5 or 7 or 10 or whatever, and I can remember like what I was thinking or how I was feeling. And comparison was a big issue for me.
Do you think that it stems from like others, like around you, or like you?
I would think so, but it's not like I didn't have like a good, fulfilling like childhood or anything like that. I just like constantly never felt like I was good enough.
It's funny that you're mentioning that, because it's the same experience for me. I remember when I was like 5, 6, whatever, and I have a really vivid memory of my past when I was a child. I remember I was very insecure. I was really unhappy, and yes, I was comparing myself to a lot of other kids as well, and to kids, like I was comparing myself to kids who are on TV.
Oh yes.
And
I feel like my mom always says that like Disney Channel, like that kind of stuff, like Disney in general, like it was kind of bad because it left like these like pre-notions of like certain things that you should have or certain things that should be done a certain way, and if it's not like that, then you're out. You're kind of not, you're not there. But yeah, definitely comparing myself to like the TV shows and like the characters, and then once I got an idea of like, okay, these are actors playing these characters,
it took me a while to figure that out.
to those actors.
Yeah, so that it took me a while to figure out. But like for me, like the reason I asked you before, like did comparison stem from like your outside environment? For me, like, you know, being raised in a Haitian household, there's a lot of comparison within like children. So like within my siblings, they would compare us. They would compare me to my cousins too, and I think that's really a common immigrant experience.
I definitely think it does start with that first. If you have a lot of siblings or if you grew up with like a lot of cousins, I think it starts with that, and then it's like the external stuff of like watching TV and stuff like that and friends and stuff like that. But for me, it definitely started with, I was an only child for like a good 8 years.
Damn.
Yeah, I was an only child for a good 8 years, and then my parents had a baby, and then it started being like this thing where I would just compare myself to like how he was being raised or like how he was being treated or the things that he was doing, and then comparing myself to his life because he's completely different from me. I'm the introvert. He says he's not an extrovert, but he is totally an extrovert. You can just walk into a room and just like make friends. I'm the polar opposite. I can't do that. So it definitely was something that was sparked with having a sibling. And then that led into like school and comparing myself with like other classmates.
Oh yeah, like your friends who are more popular, who are prettier, who are smarter. Yeah. So yeah, I experienced that as well.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned like comparison within your siblings, although like you guys are like have a huge age gap. I remember you probably saw that video too. There's this video of this psychologist. He's this world renowned psychologist.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes, I might put it right here if I remember.
Yes, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, we talked about this before, and he mentioned that the parents you have are different compared to the parents that your siblings have.
Yes.
So for me too, I used to compare the treatment I used to have from my parents versus my siblings.
Yes.
Little did I know that the parents that I had are not the same parents that my siblings have.
I love his videos.
Yes, I love his videos
too. He's so well spoken, and he just like, you just understand it better now. Yeah. So like I can see that now I can see like how it was different, you know, like they were raising him, they were at a different point of being parents. He was a completely different child compared to me. So now I can see like that comparison that I had back then was kind of like dumb,
silly.
You know?
Silly. I hear you, and it does affect me too, because growing up I was compared to my siblings a lot too. And like you say you were introverted and your brother's extroverted. For me, it's quite the opposite. In my family, so like me, my mom, my dad, and my brother and sister, I'm the only extrovert.
Oh, really?
Which is crazy. Yes, they're all introverts. So you can only imagine the comparison I had between me and my siblings. And in a Haitian culture, so like a more extroverted child is not a good child. So like the quiet child, so like they have like, well, back in the day, they have like the mentality, you know, children are supposed to be seen and not heard. So with that, you can imagine like the introverted child would be the good child. So like the more extroverted child is not so much the good child. So I definitely had that experience in my life as well. And as you can imagine, maybe yes, it does has effects of me in my life. However, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, and I've been realizing how it has affected me. So I've been aware of that.
Yes.
So it doesn't really affect me too negatively now. But however, I do still experience comparison.
Yeah, I don't think it's something you really grow out of with like siblings, because like they're there with you for the rest of your life.
You guys grew up together.
But yeah, I think the comparison now has changed. Like back then, the things that I was dealing with in terms of like me and my brother are different from the comparison stuff that I deal with now. Like back then, it was like, oh, I wasn't allowed to date.
That was one of the things.
I mean, my parents were strict, and that's the thing. Like they were strict with me,
and they're less.
But I was the girl. I was the little girl, you know.
It's
then
the
comes
same with
my brother,
too.
And now like he's a boy, so it's like, you know, you could be a little bit more lenient with that, which annoys me so much. But like, I wasn't allowed to date. I was told I was not allowed to date. So what did I do as a goody two shoes?
Not date.
I didn't date. What did my brother do?
Date.
He dated. So that comparison of like, okay, so he can get away with certain things, but I wasn't allowed to do certain things.
Yeah.
That messes with me so much.
A lot of elder siblings experience that, especially me too. Like we're both elder siblings.
Yeah.
We're both the eldest in our family. But yeah, so where like there are things that I would want when I was like a teenager or whatnot, and I would probably have like a certain age I have to reach before getting that. Meanwhile, my sister did not have to wait for that.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah, so you know, it does have like a little bit, like, it sounds horrible to say, but there's a little bit of jealousy in there, which we grew out of.
I think so, yeah.
And we can
Let's talk about cousins a little bit.
Ooh, cousins. Okay.
And that has to do with like family, like parents.
Yeah,
and, like,
parents and aunties, uncles.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's always that one pretty cousin, that one smarter cousin.
The one successful one.
Yeah, one successful cousin.
Everybody's like, oh, you need to be like your cousin so-and-so.
Yeah, but however, they never compare me to the loser cousins. And that sounds so mean.
I know that's horrible.
But listen, I have a lot of family, okay? When I say loser cousin, you guys will never figure out who I'm talking about or who I'm not. Listen, I have a lot of cousins. But I'm kidding. It's a joke.
But yeah, it's like, it kind of comes from our parents then, sort of. Like, I think it starts off with that, with them comparing us. So then we internalize that, and we're like, oh, so I need to compare myself to other people. I need to achieve more than other people.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Yeah, I just realized it too.
Maybe that's where it stems from, really.
It does stem from that. And thinking about it, I don't think our parents meant like harm doing that. I don't think they realized that.
I honestly think that was kind of like what they even grew up with.
Yeah, and they probably think that it would encourage us like if they compare us to like our cousin who's doing well, we might do well as well, but little do they know it's not.
It kind of messes
that
with
effect.
with like your head, because I remember like in terms of grades with like school, like now transitioning to like how comparison affected us with school. I remember like you would be told like, oh, so and so got this on their whatever, and you need to do like, you know, you need to get that grade, or you need to do better in school. So it's even like there, like the comparison like led into like how you did in school and how you performed in school and your grades and stuff like that. And that was hard, because if I didn't do good in school, like that would just lead me into like an anxiety like
same for
spiral.
me too.
Like I couldn't deal with that.
And you know what I realized too, like it also affect our identity, because like even like for me, like as a kid in high school and whatever, my identity was really tied into my grades, like my performance in school. And I don't think our parents realize that doing that. They think like, you know, like I understand where they're coming
They
from,
think
where
they're
it's
like
good.
motivating you to do better, but in reality it was kind of like really messing with me.
Yes, it was, because let's say I have one bad grade, you know, like
that was horrible.
We took it to heart
That was
because it's
bad.
part of our identity. So and you know, it's something that we end up growing up with as an adult, and we still experience comparison as adults too, like different ways, but we do. And as we mentioned in the previous episode, social media plays a large role in that.
It has evolved to the level of comparison now. Before it was your sibling, your cousin, your friends, your classmates. But now it's like people that you literally will never meet in your life,
but
you find the need to compare yourself to their lives and to what they've achieved or what they're doing. And it's so bad for your mental health.
It is. And you're comparing yourself based on different factors too. Before it's like school and different things, but now you're comparing yourself based on lifestyle, for
even
finances.
Even like dumb things like fashion, like, oh, she has like an incredible wardrobe and I can never have that.
Oh, one big thing is like romantic relationships.
That's a big one.
I've seen it even like on the internet, where people talk about it on like social media, like on videos, the reels and whatnot, where people are comparing themselves to like relationships and different things. But at the end of the day, we don't really know what goes behind closed doors. So there's that. But like you said, there are people who like we'll never meet. So like, why should it matter? But it still matters.
But it still matters. It's just like social media has such a control over our mindset and how we feel. It's just it's so crazy.
Yeah, it is. And with that, you know, we also have to like have like social media etiquette. Like you say, you take breaks from social media.
One thing that really helps me, because I go into a spiral with FOMO and with comparison, is I need to take a detox. I need to take a break. I need to remove myself from the thing that's triggering me, because it's so bad for your mental health. So I just take a detox and I just do something else, whether that be maybe watching YouTube videos. Because I feel like with YouTube videos, it's a little different
than you can like pick TikTok and Instagram, what you want to watch,
or like watching movies, watching TV shows. We talked about things that we like to do to help us cope with FOMO, like you said, going for a walk in the park, journaling. I said like reading, like that's something that I've gotten into a lot more now. And it's kind of things that kind of distract you from the trigger. And it helps. It really does.
It does help a lot. Yeah, for me with social media, I look more into inspirational content compared to aspirational content. With aspirational, I compare myself like, oh my gosh, when am I gonna get there? I'm not there and whatnot. But with inspirational content, it inspires me and motivates me to do better for myself.
And it's also what you view, because if you start viewing a lot of things that are like kind of negative, you're just gonna keep seeing
the algorithm. Just gonna keep feeding that to you.
Bad. So that's why you need to like. That's almost why I also think a detox is good, because sometimes your algorithm is just like feeding you all this bad
negativity
stuff. So the detox helps, but also what you said, like viewing like all the positive stuff, the inspirational stuff, that will also help you.
Yes, and I also watch inspirational videos on YouTube, and that helps me a lot. Also with social media, you have to realize that everyone was born with their own luck, because some people you're comparing yourself to on social media are nepo babies. There's no way I can compare myself to a nepo baby, because we're not born in the same financial bracket. We don't have the same opportunities. Like, I can work towards these opportunities, but we don't have the same access to these opportunities. So like you mentioned, these are people I would never ever meet in real life. However, I'm comparing myself to these people, and I keep forgetting that we were born with different opportunities and different luck.
We each
in
have our
lives.
own path in life also.
Yeah, just remind yourself of that. We each have our own path in life. And another thing that you mentioned in the previous episode, which I think would be really helpful, is remember who you are to the core. Yes. Like who you really want to be. So like at the end of the day, you don't have to compare yourself to someone else who has different goals and aspirations compared to you.
Because there could be someone that you see on social media that maybe they are like Instagram famous or something, and they always post like luxurious whatever, and you think to yourself like, oh, I'm gonna start posting like that. But that's like exhausting to like to live a life of like you're pretending to be something that you're not. That's just exhausting.
Yes, it is.
So I wouldn't. That's like where it reaches the point where I'm like, I need to just stop this comparison that I'm doing. I need to stop following this person. I need to block this person. I don't need to see any of their
Emily's
content.
Serious.
I am so serious. I have done so many social media detoxes. You've seen, I've
Detox queen.
deleted my Instagram multiple times because it just becomes very consuming and very negative. And it kind of like when you're very, I don't want to say weak-minded because I don't think you're weak-minded. I just think that certain things find you at points when you're not at your like your strength, like your best, and they can really affect you. And social media is so detrimental to your mental health. And then add on top of that the comparison you experience by viewing everybody's luxurious life, everybody's highlights. It's hard.
It is hard, yes. And also like one thing that while you were talking that came into my mind is comparison with friends, like people you know, like your own colleagues.
Like remember
friends.
when we talk about like the people from high school?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh no, I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see anyone. It is like, it depends. It depends where I'm at that time of the month mentally. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't care if I see someone from high school. So what if they have the job that they wanted,
where they
work their 9 to 5, or so what if they're married or they have their house or they have their kids or whatever. Like I don't care. But then there's times where I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, when you're down. So so like for me, like whenever I'm down and I'm going to like a negative mental spiral, like I avoid negative content.
I avoid leaving the house. No, I'm kidding.
I avoid social media too because with the comparison that doesn't help at all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, even if it's people I don't know or people I know, it doesn't freaking matter because
no, it hurts.
Yeah, it still hurts and it's not helpful. So I have to remind myself who I am, like you mentioned.
Yeah, remind yourself who you are. Like, do I really want to be with children right now?
No.
No.
Yeah, although like sometimes the thought comes, but like
not for me anymore. But no, like I don't want that. Do I really want to be working a 9 to 5? No. So like certain things that you do compare yourself to other people about, it's kind of like,
at the end of the day, do you really want them?
No.
Do you really want that?
Do you really want that? Do you really want the pressure of having to post every single day?
No.
And look all like dolled up and like all like perfect? Like that's just so exhausting.
It is. Do you really want to be a billionaire? I know a lot of people are like, I want to be a billionaire. It comes with its own, things.
Yeah, I say this a lot. I say where it's like where people talk about like work and like finance stuff like that. I'm like, now people are probably gonna take this and twist it or whatever, but I would rather be poor and happy than be rich and miserable.
I want to be rich and happy.
I would rather not have to work 12-hour shifts and make less money than have to work those 12-hour shifts and make more money. Like that's just like my perspective on it.
Quality over quantity for you.
Yeah, like I know some people are gonna be like, you're crazy, like that makes no sense, but like for me it's like my own peace, my own happiness is more important than that. So when I do find myself comparing myself to certain things or certain people in that aspect about like finances or work, I'm like, maybe that's not.
Yeah, you have to think about like the other side because the grass is not always greener on the other side, which is something I've experienced myself. Which there are certain things in life that I would want or like I wanted in the past, but once I experienced that, I'm like, ew, it's not even for me. Like I didn't want that.
No.
Yes, and like I mentioned before, you only see people's highlight reels. You don't know what's actually going on behind closed doors. You see this with social media all the time. You see like perfect couples and whatnot.
Yeah,
and
with relationships.
Yes, and then months later, you hear like the true story of what goes behind closed doors. Like once they break up, that's when you find out, oh, he was horrible. She was horrible. Oh, he was cheating on me. She was doing this, that, and the third. So when you're comparing yourself to like these people, you never know that you're comparing yourself to like a toxic relationship or like, you know, a toxic work culture or a toxic environment. You never know. Yeah, so, you know, just be content with the little things you have. Not little things, but like what you have right now. Be grateful. There's always things to be grateful about.
And there's always things that you can do to improve the life that you want to have.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be big things too. It's just like little things every day. As long as you improve your life 1% every day, you know, you reach somewhere. I remember I read that from the book Atomic Habits. He's like, you know, as long as you improve yourself 1% every day, by the end of the year, you're going to improve yourself by, I forgot the percentage.
Wouldn't it just be 365?
No, it's like exponential. It's like, I don't know. I don't remember. But I'll tell you guys in the next episode, so stay tuned. I'll bring it up again. But yes, just improve yourself every day. And also remind yourself that we all have our own skills. We all have our own talents.
Our own path in life also.
Yes. We all have our own gifts. So just because she's good at singing doesn't mean, you know, you don't have your own gifts and your own talents. You know, I could be good at cooking. And Emily could be good at drawing. You know, you never know. And not one aspect, like one skill or talent is not superior than the other. So just be grateful for the skills and talents you have, and you can develop them too.
Yeah, you could. And you could also just like remember that just because you're not where you thought you would be at this point in your life doesn't mean that you might not get there. I feel like with comparison, it has a lot to do with I was supposed to do this at this time in my life, and then I'm supposed to do this time. And sometimes it doesn't line up, and we kind of freak out, and we're like, oh, shoot, I did something wrong. Like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. But in reality, sometimes some people are going to reach certain things before you reach those certain things. And I think, like, accepting that is, like, the key to finding peace when you are in that rabbit hole of comparison. Like, for me, do I want to be married right now? No. Like, I'm okay with that. Do I want to have kids right now? No. And I'm okay with that. Do I wish I had like a job, like a secure job that I was actually like loving? Yes. But I'm working towards that, you know? So like there's like small things in life that you kind of thought you would achieve at a certain point, but sometimes that's just not in your cards to achieve at that point.
Yes, I agree with that. There's a funny exercise that me and my friends do whenever we're feeling negative or comparing ourselves and whatnot. Like you mentioned, like whenever you feel like you're stuck in life, you feel like you're not advancing where you want to be, you know, career-wise and whatever, we would think of our lives like 5 years ago. So I would compare myself now versus 5 years ago. And I just realized, and then I would realize how much of I've improved myself, how much I've advanced. Although like in my head now, like I think like, oh, I'm so behind in life. I'm stuck. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
That's a good exercise.
Yes, it is.
Because you've definitely have evolved. You've definitely changed.
Yes. But like you don't, because they're not big, you don't notice them. So I would compare myself from, you know, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, from high school. See how much I've grown, how much I've improved, how much my confidence has improved. So that if you want to compare yourself with your past.
Yeah, actually that's probably a lot better to compare yourself within yourself than to compare yourself with people around you.
Yeah, with people around you, because let's say you're comparing yourself career-wise with someone who's been at their career for 20 years versus you who just started 5 years ago.
It just doesn't work though.
Yeah.
Even if you're at like the same time of like you both have been working for 5 years, you're looking for that promotion. You guys have done things differently.
You guys had different opportunities.
You were brought up differently.
Yes.
Different opportunities, different schooling. Like it's very different.
And you had to work through like different things. Like, you know, we talk about comparison in our childhood. Some people, they probably never dealt with that. Like single,
like
only children.
Only child.
Yeah.
Only child syndrome, is that a thing?
Yeah, it is.
Oh wow.
I usually notice if someone is an only child.
You can kind of tell.
I can tell.
There are certain telltale things about an only child.
Yeah, some of my like best friends are only children, and I usually can tell. Yeah. And even if I go on a date and a guy's the only child, I can tell.
You can tell they're very unique.
in
Not in a bad way. Yeah.
Yes, I love them. But what this to say is that, you know, someone like us who are like the eldest daughters, we can't compare ourselves to someone who grew up as an only child, because we have completely different experiences.
Yes.
And we have to like deal with completely different things. Yes. So that's, you know, what I wanted to bring up.
Yes, I think that's very true. Now that you say that, I can see how I can like rationale how like when I am in that like moment of I'm comparing myself to in whatever capacity it may be, if you really like break it down, you kind of realize like that you can't really compare yourself because you're not you like we just said like you weren't brought up the same way, you didn't reach the same opportunities, or you didn't have the same opportunities, or you didn't go to the same school, or whatever it may be. Like it's very different. Like let's say like with relationships, I can compare my parents' relationships to like relationships with, I don't know, someone else. But it's very different because I don't know what I'm talking about. But you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I
like,
hear you. Like times were different, dating was
times were different, dating was
the
different,
cultures, like,
the quality of a relationship has definitely changed.
Yes, and the cultures are different too. So like me being Haitian, you being Colombian, you know, comparing like these different things,
So
it's like
once
really different.
exactly, once you start to break it down, it's like there's just no comparison necessary.
Yes, because we're all different, and that's beautiful. We just should like embrace each other's differences.
It's hard, but it's better for you mentally.
Yeah, it's hard because you're always gonna envy something someone has.
It's always
that
gonna be
you don't
something,
have.
yeah.
But trust me, you have something that someone else envy of you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, you have your own blessings. And I know some people say, "Oh, my life sucks," and whatnot. No, you always have your own blessings in life that you can count on and just be grateful for.
Yeah, practice gratitude with that.
Yes, practice gratitude. That's a great way for you to deal with comparison whenever those negative feelings are coming up. Just be grateful for the little and big things in your life. Also, look back in your life. Look back to see like the big things that happened to you. Look back to see the miracles that have happened in your life. That's the same for me. Like right now, whenever I feel stuck in life, stuck in certain, situations, feel stuck with my career, I look back at my life and see the accomplishments I've done, because I've done accomplishments, whether they're big or small. Yeah, and everyone has accomplished something. Everyone.
Yes, the scale of it may be different in terms of like the scale of what you've accomplished has been very like private versus like someone on social media whose their scale of accomplishments is very public.
Yes,
it's could be the same accomplishment, but just like the scale of like the way people can see it is different. So like I can see how that plays a role into it. So we kind of have to like remind ourselves, aside from breaking it down to see if there's even a need to compare yourself, it's also remembering like you're like not, I don't know how to say it, like I don't want to say that you're private, but
it's
the
not
other
like
person's scale of
it's not public.
Success is very public.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned. I'm sorry, guys. Ollie is snoring right now.
I don't know if you guys can hear him. He's so cute.
Yeah, he's so adorable. He passed out.
He's out.
Yeah, but I like the fact that you mentioning like scaling, comparison wise. It also like brought up in my head that values is different, because some people, one of their biggest accomplishment is being a mother. And some people, one of their biggest accomplishments is graduating college. Some people, it's grad school. So it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what the other person considers is big or not. It matters what you consider is valuable for yourself. So if you think graduating high school is a big accomplishment, yes, celebrate that. If you think graduating college is a big accomplishment, yes, please celebrate that. If you think being a dog mom is a big accomplishment,
it totally is.
Yes, celebrate that. Even if it happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, just remember your little and big wins.
Yes.
We can also talk about ourselves, comparing ourselves to other content creators who've been doing it for 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Or other content creators who probably started, let's say, their content creation and they're like lapping us. Then again, they probably had the money to do so. Like they probably we're on a tight budget.
Oh my gosh, we're on a $0 budget over here.
But like some people, we can compare ourselves to some people who probably already have the money to invest in a good camera,
which doesn't make sense because it's like you're gonna compare yourself based off something that you don't really like you don't have that yet.
Yes, not yet.
So it doesn't make sense to compare yourself to that. Like they've been doing it for maybe 10 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 2 years, but they've been doing it longer than you have.
Yes. And so, some people, they already have certain skills. Some people probably already taken some public speaking skills or like speaking in front of a camera skills,
or even editing
skills. So these people starting YouTube is ahead of us, because we have to develop these skills compared to some people, they already developed these skills in the past. So it doesn't matter when we start YouTube channel, like if we started at the same time or same day. Some people have more advancements compared to us.
Yeah.
Also, some people, they have more support than others. So some people, let's say they want to start their content creation journey, they probably have support from their parents, their significant other, and whatnot. Or they probably work part-time compared to like working full-time. So with that, you can compare yourself to that. So someone working full-time compared to part-time achieving the same goal, they don't have the same opportunities necessary. So they're so so how they go about things would be really different. So comparing yourself when it comes to that, it's not really fair. And it's, as you can see, it's silly.
Yeah. I'm also kind of noting that like comparison, there could be some positive things about comparison and there could be some negative things about comparison. I feel like we've touched upon a lot of like the negative things because there are a lot of negative things that have to do with comparison. It takes like a mental toll on you. It could even affect like your relationships with people. But kind of getting into like comparison and how it can be positive in some way, you could also see comparison as a way to like motivate you.
Yeah, like I like how you're bringing that up. Yes.
Yeah, like here we are wanting to do the content creation, doing the YouTube, all these things. I think us seeing for so many years other people doing it and seeing the success that other people have had is kind of like motivated us to be like, if they could do it, then we can do it. Now, are we doing it at our own times? Yes. Yeah. Because we're doing this now. Yeah. Many years later after wanting to initially start this. But it motivated us to want to do this. It motivated us to take the actions, to make the short goals, make the long-term goals, to reach those goals, to accomplish these things, to start it. So I do think comparison can have some beneficial factors to it.
Yes.
It's just navigating it and like not getting sucked into the negative.
No, I agree. You can use comparison to inspire yourself, motivate yourself. For me, for example, with my social media, I really created where I only see inspirational and aspirational content where it can motivate me to achieve certain goals or achieve certain lifestyles. Because if I see someone else do it, I can do it. You know what is great? Like another example I could give you that comparison can be positive. I like to compare myself to people who have like similar start in life as me and who are achieving the same goals that I would want to. So for example, let's say someone from our high school is a big time content creator now. For me, I could look at them and be like, wow, if they could do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone from our high school is a big content creator.
I don't know, because I don't know the lives of anyone from our high school.
I don't know. But yeah, sometimes I like to compare myself to people who have like similar life path as me or like similar start, however they achieved the goal I would want to achieve. So I look at them as, if they could do it, I could do it. If they could accomplish this big goal, I can also accomplish this big goal. Because sometimes we would have similar opportunities. Although like you said, like there's nowhere in life where you would have the same life path as someone else. But however, you can have like similar life path or similar opportunities in life.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So with that being said, with comparison, it's a common experience.
It definitely is, and it's like a tricky one.
It's a tricky one.
You gotta be careful which
way. Yeah. So yeah, it could be really negative, but you can also use it to your advantage as well.
Yes, it could be helpful in getting you, leading you into the kind of relationship that you desire to have, whether that means, ending something with someone that you see it's not really progressing anywhere positive. It could lead you to want to create a change, whether that be in a relationship, in a career, in your financial situation. What else?
Oh, I love that you're saying that, because you can probably compare yourself to someone else where you can see that, oh wait, I deserve better. I probably deserve better treatment. I deserve a better career. And it can motivate you to go towards that.
Yes.
And you can also compare yourself when it comes to like relationship to see if you deserve a better relationship or not. Because you hear all these stories of people being in toxic relationships, abusive relationships, and they're not aware that they could have a better relationship. But once they're aware that there's better relationships out there and they can see it for other people, you can kind of see it for yourself too. Yes. And it can motivate you to want better for your life.
So another thing with comparison is, if you are really struggling with this, is definitely seek help.
Oh yes, definitely.
I think we are big advocates for therapy. Yes. Definitely seek out
professional
therapy.
help.
sometimes it's easier to see things for the way that they are when it's someone that's not like your sibling, your parent, a friend. Sometimes it's easier to take advice from a complete stranger.
Yeah, they'll have like a
So,
more objective point of view
yeah,
on
so I
things.
definitely think, seek out the help if it's something that's really affecting you.
Yeah, and they can definitely help you, give you the tools, give you the support that you need. And also, you can have support from your friends and your
Yeah.
family who you are pretty close to or who you trust. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you want an objective point of view, you can also ask them for that instead of
Mm-hmm.
just comparing yourself. Because sometimes, us mentally, we could be like so hard on ourselves
Absolutely.
and be really negative, go to that downward negative spiral.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. So of course, seeking support from professional help and from your loved ones can also be really helpful.
Yeah.
So with comparison, we know it's a universal experience. As we previously mentioned, our own experiences with comparison, how we deal with it, how it has evolved over
Yeah.
time, and even our experiences with comparison as children, how it has still affected us
Yeah.
till this day
It's
as
definitely molded
adults.
us as we are
Yes.
now as adults.
Yeah, so it's something that you can definitely cope with and deal with, and there are definitely ways for you to go about it.
Yeah, and there's positive and negative. I
Mm-hmm.
think once it's turning into a negative thing, it's where you have to kind of figure out like what can I do to end this, whether that be a detox, whether that be therapy, whether that be talking to someone that you trust, getting yourself out of that. And then if it is something positive, then hopefully it leads you to where you really want to be in life.
Yes. Now it hits me like comparing yourself positively is like kind of what you do with vision boards.
Oh yeah, create a vision board. Instead of comparing your life and seeing all these things, create like that vision board. People
Mm-hmm.
say manifest. People say manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've never you try to get me into it, but I've never
Yeah,
really
I'm.
manifested. But I'm sure that like there's something in there. I'm sure like when you
Mm-hmm.
manifest, it kind of like opens you up to doing those kind of things that
Mm-hmm.
would lead you that way. So definitely vision board, manifest, do the things that are kind of like positive when it comes to comparison
Yeah,
instead of sitting there scrolling late at night, bawling your eyes
that's not
out
gonna help
because you're
you.
not happy with, the way you look or
Yeah,
the job you have or the relationship you have. Take those proactive steps to
every
make a
day.
change.
Yeah, show up for yourself and be
Yeah,
consistent.
absolutely.
And one day, you will see. One day, you can do the practice. Look at your life 5 years
Oh,
ago,
yes.
and you'll be grateful that
We're
you
going to
took
do
the
that.
actions.
We could
Yeah,
do that. We could literally
one
do that
year.
right now.
Yeah. So, hi, Jolie and Emily.
Look where we
One.
are now, filming our third
Yes.
episode for the podcast.
Yes, and then we're gonna take the proactive steps right now. So
Yes.
one day, 5 years from now, when we look back, we're gonna be so grateful that we took the appropriate steps,
Yes.
and we're gonna see that we started that as an accomplishment. So with that, we hope that we give you encouragement and some tips and advice on how to deal with comparison.
Yes.
As we know, it's can be negative, but
It's
it can be
tricky.
it could be positive as well.
Join the conversation, leave your comments, let us know what kind of comparison you deal with, how you cope with that comparison that you're going
Negative or
through.
positive?
Negative or positive.
Yeah.
Hopefully a lot of positive stuff. But even if this helped you in any kind of way, we would be really happy that we were able to do that for you.
Yeah.
And make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, let us know you like our podcast. Let us know we're
Give
doing.
us advice,
Yeah,
give us
give us feedback,
suggestions,
comment,
whatever it may
and let
be.
us know.
Yeah.
And yeah, follow us on our other platforms as well. So we do have an Instagram, a TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
All our platforms are at
Candidly Cozy Podcast.
And with that, we love you guys. We see you next time.
See you next time with a new episode. Bye. Guys.